don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself, right? And always try to one up yourself instead of one up somebody else.
Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like, this is one life.
Yep, one life? Like, fucking do it.
My guy.
Like, she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
Today I have a good friend, talented cinematographer, photographer, Brandon Kenney. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm hanging in there. So I'm excited for the summertime because it's been a long winter. So
yeah,
getting out in the warm weather. It's supposed to snow later this week, actually. But
yeah, honestly, man, you and I both, I believe in that sort of thing called seasonal depression. People kind of not getting enough vitamin D, sunlight, getting out of the house, whatever have you. And just taking a toll, especially on us, right? Us creatives, not having that ability to express ourselves and connect with fellow creatives. Would you agree?
I mean, we're used to sitting in dark rooms editing all the time, but then when you want to go out and shoot and it's like minus 20 degrees, it makes it more depressing to do that. So you want to stay inside the dark room. And,
exactly. And funny, and funny you say that, right? We'll get into it more, but basically, we did that recently with a collaboration, right? In service of my product, my clothing line, the 94 collection. We were in a very cold facility. And then we were troopers though, or I should say you were, just hustling it out, being very professional in a garage that had no heater. So you killed it. You killed it that time, man. So it's very important that, we get out and we connect with people like ourselves. So I'm really excited, as are you, with the summer. After multiple meetings together and, successful collaboration on a recent product photography production that I just recently mentioned, I finally have you as a guest on my podcast, and I'm thrilled. And upon witnessing your work ethic on set, I might add, I recognize your talent and your dedication to the craft of photography and cinematography. So I'd like to know from you, why did you choose to pursue these particular artistic mediums?
I think the reason why I wanted to pursue cinematography and photography is just because, it's a creative outlet that kind of lets you express yourself in ways that otherwise you don't get the opportunity to. And I found with cinematography, I love to tell stories. I'm not a good writer. I can't write novels or books or even scripts for that matter, but I like to visualize a story and then having the ability to be behind the camera and kind of control the visuals and stuff to create emotion and create effects on people's perceived ways that they interpret stories and stuff, I think is a powerful sort of creative tool. So I originally started out with cinematography and I think it all started like way back in high school when I used video as a way to get out of doing other projects, mainly performing and stuff. So we'd make a video about what we were doing Shakespeare and stuff, and we had to like rewrite a Shakespeare script and then perform it in front of the class. And I always wanted to do a video and then make sort of a film out of that. So and then it just started to progress, and I loved to do video work that way. And then later off and realizing where I wanted to sort of take my career after school was intriguing to sort of do some DP work in cinematography and realizing that was a creative outlet that could also be a full-time job. And I think that was really attractive to me. And then I began to do some photography to kind of pay the bills and practice the craft a little bit more and find frames that otherwise you wouldn't really have the opportunity to go out and shoot on location with like an Arri Alexa or something that you don't normally carry with you, right? So, and then sort of the last couple of years has been trying to transition that into a full-time business, right? So I've been doing mostly freelance photography and cinematography for the last couple of years now, and creating visuals for clients like jewelry companies and brands, and creating commercials and stuff like that. It still is that creative outlet. It's not the feature length film telling the stories that I want to tell yet, but at least it's still practicing the craft, and it's kind of the everyday operations of doing that. And eventually, we want to break into feature length films and doing a lot more higher production, higher budget cinematography or filmmaking, I guess. So yeah, it's all in moderation. I mean, freelance, and I mean, the film industry, as a creative, is tough, and it takes a long time to get to where you want to go. So having the ability to do something that you're enjoying every day, and you're still being able to practice your craft every single day, to get to that level is way better than sitting in an office and kind of waiting for the weekend to make a film. So.
Yeah, no, that's very admirable what you said, and very true, right? A lot of artists, including myself, listening to this especially can resonate with that story on a lot of levels, right? The fact that you're trying to monetize your passion. That's what I had a discussion with a past creative as well on the podcast. That's the biggest step, right? That's a crucial step. It's the reality. As much as artists like myself want to think of the art first and business second, eventually you got to eat. And for yourself, which I'll discuss even more about your business and kind of like the recent venture you've pursued. It's vital, right? It's vital to your success as an artist, to your credibility as a brand. And it's very, like I said, important that you stay true to what you love the most, right? I like that you said you rather do this than stay in an office or a corporate world, because that's how I feel all the time. That's probably a driving force of why I continue pursuing this dream, even though some days, as we all have our days, we get discouraged, right? We kind of tell ourselves, well, what's the other option, right? What's the alternative? So yeah, very, very important, Brandon. But I'd like to know, since you said this, was the people around you, the people close to you, family, friends, were they supportive of your decision to pursue the arts?
Yes and no. Like, just taking it on my parents, I think my dad was super supportive and sort of happy to see me try to do what I want to do. And then my mom was a little more critical on that. I feel like she wanted me to go off and be like a lawyer or a doctor, as anybody's mother wants you to do, right? So she's a little bit more critical, but it kind of lets me prove to her that, like, I'm still ready to do this, and I'm still kind of monetizing my passion, like you said.
Right.
So the tough part is communicating, like, my days to the people around me, because like, my background, I don't come from a family of creatives, or not to say that they're not creative, but they're more like a 9 to 5. You show up to work
In the traditional sense, they're not artists. Like, they're not, like, they don't do that for a full-time job. They're creative in their own way, but they're not making a living off of their creations.
Yeah. So it's hard to say that I'm not doing anything like one day, but then for the next 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days, or the next 2 months, I'm working on sets or client work or whatever. And then we have like a month off in the winter time because everything is slow, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough to communicate my schedule to like the people around me, but most of them are still pretty supportive in that regard. So
yeah, no, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy you brought up the whole like scheduling, because even myself, whether it's justifying it to my family or justifying it to me, the schedule is very unconventional. You know what I mean? Like, it's not 9 to 5 in a way. Sometimes it's like 12 to 12. You know what I mean? It fluctuates. There are days when it could be slower than others, whether it's because you don't have a client, whether it's because, the nature, a lot of catching up and waiting. And I think, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but like, do you ever feel kind of guilty or feel out of place, like you should be doing more because the schedule is a little bit unpredictable?
All the time.
Yeah.
And it weighs on your mental health too, because like if you're not doing, I think we get into a state of mind where like we're constantly having to do high energy things in short amount of time. And then when we're not doing those high energy things, it kind of weighs on you because you feel like you need to be doing something, right? So, I guess with you per se, like with your regular job doing editing and doing freelance work, and then you start a podcast, and then you go start the 94 collective. You're always creating and doing something, so I see that as like trying to fill in the gaps, right?
Yeah.
And likewise with myself, I'm not really too active on social media per se, but I'm always trying to fill in the gaps personally, whether it's editing old projects that I kind of put on the shelf for the last couple years, or looking back on some photos that I want to re-edit and stuff like that, and getting it prepared to send off to social media or additional clients and cold calling and stuff like that. So we try to fill in the gaps, but sometimes the work is slow. Sometimes it's never consistent. It's either super fast or super slow, right? So it's tough to adjust to. But
yeah, no, for sure. And I like that you said it weighs on your mental health, because it definitely did for me. Even though some people reach out and say, "Oh wow, you're doing so much," because I'm always trying to keep busy. Really, that's part of the reason why I started the podcast. But I thought it was a great opportunity to network with people like yourself. There are times when it just hits me really hard and says I should be doing more, I could be doing more, look at this guy, he got this amount of clients. And social media doesn't help in a way, but I kind of always remind myself that, like you said, it's a very unpredictable, unformulated business and path. Things could literally happen on a whim. You could get that client that could secure you for the next 5 years, or you do one job and you impress him so much that he knows someone even more superior than them that believes in your talent. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many different variables that you can't really predict, as opposed to an office world, where it's like, if I do this in 5 years, I can move to this position, right? It doesn't work like that. So very interesting that you said that. And this leads me to my next point about, how we're always looking for the next step, right? The next move. And part of that is building our brand and a reputation in a highly competitive world of filmmaking, right? And as a result, artists decide to start their own production companies in an effort to establish a market presence and a brand identity, artistic identity, I should rather say, including myself, right, with the 94 Productions. Now, I bring this up because you and your friend, or our friend, I should say, Eric Tomjay, decided to go into business together and generously asked me to do would be one of your first clients in creating promotional content for my clothing brand. And Eric Tomjay, I've known him for a while now, and have nothing but great things to say. Talented, impressive producer, and I thought it was really cool that you guys are now looking for the next step in monetizing your passion and your skill set. So, why did you decide to create your own production company?
So I've been working with Eric for a couple of years now, and we were doing sets, just short films and creative projects and stuff, and we really hit it off. And I feel like we both agreed that we really like our work ethic, and we just kind of hit it off as friends, and then sort of developed a business relationship over the years, doing a little bit of client work and stuff. And he is a guy that really wants to go into feature films, as am I. But features are expensive, right?
Yeah.
I think we all know that. So, trying to monetize where you're able to make the jump to a feature length funding is important, right? That's one of our staple goals in the upcoming years and stuff. So, you know, until we get to that point, instead of doing office jobs or you know, something that's going to take us away from the freedom of having sort of an open schedule on, you know, doing creative projects and passion work, we decided to create a production company in order to kind of do our daily operations, monetizing our daily operations so that we're able to sort of make a living, pay our rent, pay our food, and then get to the point where we're able to jump to a feature length film and then, you know, hopefully break into that. But we have so much, you know, avenues that we could take it. You know, there's music videos, there's fitness photography we want to get into. We want to get into more jewelry and e-commerce and helping brands market their materials and, you know, creating content visually for other brands like yourself, in trying out different avenues of photography and videography, so that we're creating a business to help other businesses, but we're also creating a business that we're passionate about to make the jump to a feature length film. And then, you know, the sky's the limit after that. And, you know, so
yeah, for sure.
we're excited to get started on that. And so, yeah, we asked you, you know, if you were okay with us, you know, grabbing some of your content, or capturing some of your content to, you know, help us out for having content on our website and some marketable material that we could sell to other brands and stuff as well. And it helps you with your brand as well.
Yeah.
So we did a photo shoot for social media, and then we did some e-commerce listing photos and stuff, as well as we tried some 360 degree photos, which turned out really cool because you can
Yeah,
you know, slide it and
they're
then see the
interactive.
whole
Yeah.
product. Yeah, so that's something that, you know, we want to kind of pursue in the future, and you know, see if brands are interested in doing something like that, because, you know, it helps with the visual aesthetic of their brand, and then it kind of sets them apart from, you know, every other, you know, e-commerce platform, right? So
Yeah, no, that's the great mind. That's perfect mindset to have. Exactly, like I can relate to that tenfold because that's exactly why I started my production company. It got to a point when it's like, you know, in the meantime, and while I work towards making my own feature film, because that's every filmmaker's dream. What can I be doing to make money? What can I be doing to connecting with more professionals in the industry? So I think it's important to kind of create an entity that represents yourself, right, and your talents, and kind of do what you're doing now, right? Reach out to clients and say, you know, I'm willing to do this for you. I'm willing to showcase what my skill set with your brand and help you promote it. And if they really like you and they remember you, right, that helps, like you said, pay the bills. And on the side, you could do your other projects, right? So very interesting.
yeah,
How has
we want
this?
to get into.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, like, yeah, we obviously want to get into features, you know, down the road, but it's such a big entity to, it's kind of intimidating to get into it at first, right? But
Yeah, for sure.
you know, so we're trying to develop a model where you know, we're going to be able to be successful and make a feature without breaking the bank and you know, asking too many favors of people, but I'm excited for that because hopefully we have some scripts lined up in the near future, and then we'll be able to, you know, make the most of it. So
Yeah, no, for sure. It's important. It's important to constantly like have a plan, right, and know what the next move is, and set up your goals. So you know what you're striving towards. That's very important, and you know, that's something that me and Eric have talked about on the podcast many times. We share a similar interest in each other's work, and that's what it is, right? It's just about building like a community, of building a team of people, of creatives on the same level. And then when it comes to making a feature, you never know what role you can play in that part, right?
yeah, exactly.
So I'd like to know, like, how has this creative business venture benefited your brand and opportunity as an artist so far? Have you noticed a progression? Have you noticed things have changed rapidly for you?
in the long term, I would say it's like progressive. In the short term, it's very progressive because
Right.
2 months ago we weren't doing anything, and then fast forward to now, and it seems like our schedules are super busy with everything, right? So yeah, I feel like having the ability to offer other brands and companies services that we can offer, I feel like is benefiting them, but it's also benefiting us, because then we're able to work with other people, make more connections, and kind of create, like, practice our style in different aspects, something that we probably wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to do. So yeah, I think it's benefiting us in the yeah, I think it's benefiting us
In the short term, yeah, no, for sure. It's a hard
Yeah.
question in a way, because you just started, right? You can't predict the future. But I asked that because again, for myself, just relating it back, when I first started it, there was no one like it. Everyone just kind of supported, like friends, like, yeah, it looks good, the logo looks good, whatever. And then only until recently I've started to notice it's picking up steam. Like, it's very gradual. It's a slow pace, but it's better than nothing. And I got to remind myself, as do you, right? Like, it takes time to build something meaningful. So I was just curious, yeah, like if you noticed progress in yourself, if you ever have those days. But the important thing is that you're um, chipping away each day, right? So that's all you can ask for.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And which leads me to my next point, right? So compared to any other profession, artists endure more struggles through their career and their mental health, right? As we established on this podcast already. And the unpredictable nature of the industry, right? As we've discussed many times, and the consequential influences of external crises, like, you have the pandemic, make it even more challenging for artists to keep themselves sane and above all focused. So I'd like to know from you, how do you cope with your mental health as an artist?
uh, how do I
Brandon's like, I don't cope with anything. I just keep working. I keep tracking on.
yeah, pile on the work and then try to forget your mental
Yeah. Just ignore the signs. Bloodshot eyes.
Sometimes you need an off day, right? You need to break. You need to just detox, and for me, like, maybe it's not the best coping method, but I don't like to talk to anybody when I'm like on the day off. I'll take a drive and just kind of look at the pretty sunset, or hear the water rushing, and not, like, just kind of tune everything out, and that's usually after a big project, whether it's you're just getting off of an intense shoot where you're doing 16-hour days, or you're doing a wedding that is a 12 hours long, that it was super intense and
Wow.
in the moment sort of thing, and afterwards you just need to sit down and relax and reset. And I think that's super important. And I know a lot of filmmakers and people that don't do that they just go right into the next project, and then you're starving for sleep, and you're hungry, and you're just you're not balanced again, right? So I think it's super important to make sure that you have time for yourself as well, right? So just to sit down and reset, and have a break, right? So
Yeah, being selfish and taking the time for yourself, that's much needed, right? To avoid burnout. That's something that I've been prone to, because I just, like you just described, one project after the other. You're afraid. A lot of artists have that scarce mentality when they're starting off. They're afraid they're not gonna get that next opportunity, so they just take it and they say, "Yeah, like, let me do it. I got to do it." Like, you don't know if it's gonna come around again. But yeah, very wise what you said. It's important to not only be grateful for what you have, but also reflect on your health, and act accordingly, right? If anything you feel is out of place or imbalanced. And I asked the question, to be honest, Brandon, because every artist I have on this podcast, or creative entrepreneur, is different in how they deal with their mental health, right? A lot of people, some people, it doesn't even affect them, right? Or they might ignore it. Some people, they go for, like you said, a walk, a drive, go on vacation. So I find it very fascinating. And even for the audience, right? Like, or myself, they might even learn a new technique, right? From the person you ask. Because everyone, again, deals with it differently. So very cool. I might do that myself, go for a drive, watch the sunset. Living in the suburbs, it's kind of hard to see a proper sunset, but I gotta find
Gotta
a
drive far.
Yeah, I gotta go up north or something, just to watch a classic sunset. You actually see the sun setting. I should say, when I was in California, a lot of beautiful sunsets. It really is like the West Coast, like, beautiful in San Diego. Like, you just see it dip over the horizon. So yeah, if anyone finds himself in California, don't miss out on that sunset. So what advice would you give to artists struggling to be in the position like ourselves, or looking to be better than they were yesterday, or establish themselves in the industry?
I mean, I feel like you've asked that a lot to people, so I don't want to have the same similar answer that everybody else had.
Everyone's
right?
different. You might have something that's completely offhand.
Are they?
Just quit now.
Right.
If you didn't make it by 25, you're done.
I would say I'm guilty of this, and I think we all kind of are. Is you can't compare yourself to other people. Like if somebody's taking a better photo or a better video or making a better film, it's nice to see what other people are up to and seeing their skill set. But then when you can try to compare it to yourself, it could be heartbreaking, right? Or it can go the other way where you kind of get more confidence, which I feel like just comparing yourself to other people or whatever other people are doing, just do your own stuff. Like just do yourself, right? So compare your next video with your last video and see how you can get better. And then if you keep doing that, then you're gonna eventually get to a point where you're comfortable with your skill set and you're comfortable with the way you work with things, right? So I do care about like what my friends are doing and what other people are doing and stuff, but I don't want to compare that to myself, because while they're talented or I don't want to like take their work and compare it to mine, because I want to be my own competitor, and I want to improve stuff that I'm better at doing from the last video, right? So or the last project. So I guess my biggest advice would be to don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself, right? And always try to one up yourself instead of one up somebody else, right?
Yeah, so. Well said, man, and exactly that, right? That's something that we should always take to heart, because again, I'm guilty of it. All right, I'm sure you are, like, in a sense, and we're human. You might look at someone else's work and say, damn, like, what the hell am I doing? Maybe I should upgrade my camera or something.
There's always going to be somebody younger, somebody that's more talented or doing something that's way bigger than what we're doing.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that they're a better creative or they're a better the whatever, right? It just means that that's what they're doing, and then you have to see what you're doing yourself, and then you can have goals to set to get to what they're doing, but the only way that you're going to do that is if you one up yourself on your last video, right? And I think just in retrospect, we all kind of do that, right? We take a video one time, and then the next time we sort of learn what we did wrong or what we can do better. Exactly. And then we keep going and keep improving to that, right? So I guess that's also why we always constantly want to be doing something at a high energy level, because we want to get better, and we're only as good as our last film, right? So doing a film every single day or as much as we can is subconsciously, I think, an improvement on ourselves, but then you have to take a mental health break.
Yeah, definitely
And
take some mental health days if needed, because artists more than anyone can are prone to burnout. And it's vital to our creativity, right? And that's why I wanted to say, like, to sum it up, your creativity is imperative to you as an artist. If you can't think clearly and if you're not inspired, then it's only a detriment to your work and your craft. And I think it's so important, like what you said, is don't compare yourself, because it takes the fun away, right? It takes the enjoyment away from what you want to pursue. And even if you hear like, oh, I'm working on a feature film, or I started my production company, it's like, I've been there, I've been there, where it's like discouraging. Like, you hear everyone else doing all these great things and you're saying to yourself, what am I doing? I'm in my room. I'm thinking of, like, I'm writing my feature length screenplay, but is anyone going to see it? Because I've been there, right? I'm speaking from experience before I started any of this. And what I strongly believe is pursuing things that you're interested in, pursuing things that make you happy, and constantly developing them, right? Constantly enhancing your work in the best way that you can. And I really believe that your audience will follow. Again, even though it could be gradual, it could be at a slower pace than you desire. What's important is that people are listening to you, and people are viewing your work, and you should be grateful every step of the way.
absolutely, well said.
Yeah, thank you. So on that note, Brandon, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, taking the time to share your experience, your journey. I find cinematography and photography very fascinating, and I respect those art forms. A lot of talented people in the industry, a lot of the way in which the film itself looks, like you said it, to be able to visually tell a story as opposed to writing it, is a completely different kind of intelligence, I should say, an artistic expression. Hitchcock said it best, paraphrasing here, but like, the ability to tell a story. You're a filmmaker or a storyteller if you have the ability to tell a story without writing it, without dialogue. So I'm serious, man. That's what I find. Like, the best movies, or the best scenes in movies, are when they're just told with visuals, right? Beautiful color palettes, and that's what you specialize in. So really excited for the work. Really excited for the work that you and Eric will be creating with your production company, Surmount Pictures, I should say.
Yes, Surmount Pictures.
Perfect. Well, do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Just thanks for having me on. It's nice. This is my first podcast too, so it's nice to sort of talk. And I've only listened to podcasts to this point, so it's fun to talk and sort of say what's on their mind, right?
Exactly. So, the first of many, man, right? Like, it's very important, especially in today's age, to get yourself out there, to kind of voice your intentions, your projects, because you never know, right? If someone listening to this might say, hey, I like this guy, Brandon. I saw his page. I want to work with him. I want to see if I can offer my talents to his production company. So I think I really am serious, man. You never know where it could lead. So thank you again, Brandon, for coming on the podcast. Thank you, everybody else, for listening, and we'll talk soon.